And good evening, everyone. ESS, Empire State Sports, proudly presents the Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. Your host tonight, Joey Riem, Dave Bartlett, myself, Pete Golson, our very special guest. You know him from Potsdam, SUNY Potsdam basketball and the Bears up in Potsdam State, Brendan Mitchell. Brendan, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, it's been a while trying to get you on, and we appreciate it. I'll just mention a couple things, Brendan, that we're going to go. I know we're going to talk about a lot here soon. I just want to mention you were inducted into the Hall of Fame up there in 2002.
Yes, sir.
Correct? And
yes, sir.
You were a member of the championship team in your 3 years up there. You had quite a run. And all of us, I'll be honest with you, all of us were sitting right here, the three of us,
yes,
huge
sir.
fans, huge fans.
Thank you.
So we're going to get into that.
Okay.
Welcome to the program, and I'm going to scoot it over to Joey.
Thank you.
All right, Brendan. Hey, this is great. Finally having you on. Dave and I were lucky enough. I think we shook your hand, met you a little bit on the Saturday night of the weekend of the Bodacious Bears. I don't think Dave and I got to interview you though on the red carpet, but we did get to talk to you on that Saturday night, and I know that this was something that we were hope would happen. And then we interviewed Troy Turner and John Leonard and Pony Bullock. Troy said that you wanted to come on and was gracious enough to give us your number. So here we are. We're glad this is happening. So why don't we just give you this first part? You can reintroduce yourself to our viewers, let people know where you came from, what you've done, and where you're at now, and then we'll take it from there.
Not a problem. Well, I'm Brendan Mitchell. I'm originally from Schenectady, New York. Graduated from Mount Pleasant High School. Spent a year at the University of North Carolina A&T. Spent 2 years in the service in the Army. Left the Army and came home. Was at a summer camp teaching basketball. Coach Welch came down, and the rest was history.
Well, Brendan, I'm an Army vet myself, so thank you for your service, and I didn't know that about you.
Yes, sir. Spent two years in the Army.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So how did?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brendan. Go ahead.
No, you go. I'm fine.
Well, I was just going to say. So how did Coach Welch come across you? I mean, there must have been something that prior that made him realize you were available at that time?
Well, actually, I had just came home from the service, and Gary Denola, who was the coach at Mount Pleasant at the time, he was doing a summer camp, and Coach Welch came up to speak at the camp. And we were just playing in the gym that day, and Coach had seen it. And then I was playing in the summer league over in my neighborhood, and he came out and he seen the game, came and watched the game that day too. And he just was speaking to me, and then what sold me totally is when he told me that Troy and John were going to be going up to Potsdam as well. Because in reality, I had already signed, filled out my application and everything to go to Albany State.
Oh, and Albany State. Albany State back then was Division III, right?
Yes.
They were in the same. They were in the SUNYACs.
Potsdam's rival. Yeah. So it was a big thing with John. Once he told me that he had both John and Troy coming, we played, I think, 1 year in the Empire State games, but we played against each other in high school. So it was a no-brainer for me. I always wanted to play with them. So once he told me they was there, I just threw the application away from Albany State and went to Potsdam.
That's a very interesting. I personally have learned that of those teams of your era, so many of you knew each other prior to playing at Potsdam, and a lot of it was, one guy was being recruited or was on the team and said, "Hey, you should take a look at this guy." Either I played with him in high school or I played against him in high school. And I didn't realize there was so much of a connection prior to Potsdam for a lot of you guys.
Yeah, John Leonard, myself, and Troy, we all played in the Big Ten Conference. And John played at Catholic Central, Troy played at Albany High, and I said I played at Mount Pleasant. So we
Nice.
played against each other. They always like to tell a story they used to watch because I've started from ninth grade on in high school. So I was a star. They were on, I think, well, John was on the JV team, and I think Troy was in Massachusetts at that time before he transferred back to Albany High.
Well, so Brendan, talk a little bit about then. Now you get to Potsdam State. What year did you come in? And obviously, we know you won the championship in '86. But what year did you come in? And how many years were you there total at Potsdam?
Played 3 seasons at Potsdam. Came in '84, '85. I think that season we went 30-3. I think it was. And then '85, '86, we were undefeated. And then '86, '87, I think, yeah, we lost one game that season. I think I finished 90-4 in Potsdam in the 3 years I was there.
Not bad.
No, not at all.
And I know, like Pete said in the intro, we went to a lot of those games because Pete and I, well, all three of us are North Country boys, and Potsdam basketball was the thing back then.
Yes, sir.
We loved it.
It was very exciting. We enjoyed playing it. My first game there was I like goosebumps everywhere. We were sitting in the locker room, and the lights were shaking in the locker room. This is prior to he was coming up, warming up. So my first game there was very exciting at Potsdam.
Yeah, I mean, it's D3, but it's like big time.
Oh, it actually probably had bigger crowds than some of the mid-major schools, and we probably would have beat a whole lot of mid-major schools at that point in time.
I totally agree with you.
That was gonna be one of my questions, Brendan, was what was the feeling playing at Potsdam? And you just answered a little bit of it, but the crowds back then were nuts, and
Yes.
the place was packed, and the hallways were packed.
Yeah.
And how was the atmosphere? I mean, that had give you a little, get a little step in your giddy up there, when you're playing ball, right?
Oh yeah, when you come into that atmosphere and you see the way the fans reacted, and all you wanted to do was just have a good time, and I think that's what we did. We had a whole lot of fun together. And one thing about it is I think we all gelled together because we liked each other, and it was very rarely that you seen one without the other during those 3 years I was there. We were always together. So I mean, very exciting time. Fans were crazy. The mascot, the cheerleaders, the band. It was like a D1 atmosphere actually.
Oh yeah, it was,
very knowledgeable fans.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And I know for us local folks, we had to get there extra early to even get in there. That's how popular it was back then.
Yeah.
Not like that now, but I wish it was. But it was an unbelievable time back then. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys for giving me my memories back then.
Oh,
We had quite a few.
We thank you guys for being out there supporting us.
Brandon, I know when Troy was on with John and Pony, one of the stories that we talked about was obviously back then the toilet paper would always come out onto the floor after the first basket.
Yes.
And I think was it Albany State? I don't know. I can't remember now who it was. It was Alfred. First round of regionals at Potsdam or at Maxey. And it was like 18 or 19-1, you guys, and the fans started hollering, "That's our point! That's our point!" because it was from a technical free throw from the toilet paper being thrown on the floor.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, we enjoyed that after the first basket. It lifted us up. It really picked Tim Harris. You really got excited after that. So when he seen the toilet paper come out there, Tim really got pumped up. So
Well, I mean, those times were crazy, and like Pete and Dave were saying, I mean, you had to get there early. I mean, back then there were like season ticket holders that you didn't really have assigned seats there, but there were people that had season tickets to make sure that
Yes.
they were getting in to watch your Bears teams play.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. That's probably unreal at any other Division III school.
No,
Unheard of.
yeah, it is. Well, I was lucky enough a couple weeks ago. Some of your Bears teammates were home. They come home every summer and play a little round of golf with Beaver, Brian North, Steve Babiars, and I bumped into. They were all there. It's just amazing to me the connection that all you guys have, and then Dave and I were so lucky last year to be at the Bodacious Bears weekend, and then to see the love that you guys all have for each other, and the love that you obviously have for Coach Welch. That was something to watch for Dave and I. It was really really cool. And then obviously to cap it off with the movie. What was your takeaway from that whole weekend?
It was a great time. Well deserved. We had thought about doing something like that, but doing with a round table, just getting some of the players together and sitting around with Coach Welsh and talking about different things about the time that we spent together. So when they came up with the idea, we were like, well, that sounds great. And, everybody chipped in, gave their little part. And I mean, it went well. I thought it was a great weekend.
Well, and so how often, I mean, I'm going to assume that you stay in touch with a lot of the guys. Do you stay in touch with Coach Welch?
I spoke with Coach Welsh 2 weeks ago. Coach usually calls at least 2 or 3 times a year, and I try to give him a call back if I miss his call. But he tries to stay in contact with all of us, and then through Facebook and other things, we stay in contact with each other. Tim Harris calls me all the time because his father was living down here in Georgia, not too far from me. So he comes. John Leonard is down here, of course. So stay in touch with some of them, not all of them, but anytime they have something where we're going to get together, I think we'll all show up and be there. Anything that has something to do with Potsdam or Coach Welsh. I like to send my condolences out to the Babiars family for the loss of his father. I sent Steve a message the other day, but I just would like to put that out there, send him my condolences from me and my family.
So you just said you're in Georgia. Is that where you are now?
Yeah, I've been here in Atlanta for the last 25 years.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. And doing what, Brendan? Or if I missed that, I'm sorry.
No, I used to work for a janitorial company. I was managing a janitorial company. Then I started my own on the side with that company. And right now I'm just semi-retired, work down at State Farm Arena. I run the floor seats for the Hawks and all the concerts and stuff right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I get to see what they call basketball.
What they call basketball?
What they call it.
What they call basketball. It's not the same game as it used to be. So
no, it's not. And I'll tell you what, Brendan, the part of basketball that I miss the most, and I was a guard, but you two guys are at least on the screen that are at the bottom of my screen, you and Dave. I miss post-up play. I miss guys that could play around the basket with their back to the basket. You just don't see it anymore. It's just everything is 3-point and drive oriented. There is no dumping it down into a big man anymore.
Yeah, it's like you can, what's the kid from UConn who won player of the year, didn't get drafted? What's the kid from, the school out there, little small school that Stockton went to?
Oh, Gonzaga. Yeah.
Yeah, Gonzaga, big kid played. You don't get drafted. I mean, I see it as being a bad sign for big people. If you're over 6'6", if you're over 6'8", 6'9" now, and you can't step out and shoot the ball a little bit, you're pretty much regulated to high school and college in college basketball because there's no place for you in the pro game. You
No, you're right.
if you can't step out and shoot the ball, they can't use you right now, and that's, I mean, it's terrible because where would Shaq be? Where would Kareem be if the game was like that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I watch, when I do watch, I'm a Sixers fan, so I've been frustrated for 30 some years, but I watch Joel Embiid, and if that guy just went down and played in the post, there's nobody that's stopping him down there, but yet I still watch him shoot 3-4 threes a game, making passes from the high post, and he is a good passer and everything, but I'm like, man, you just would dominate down there. There's no other 7-footer with his kind of skills, and it boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's a totally different game now.
And part of the reason I think, Brendan, and this would probably have been the part that would have drove you nuts, is they take him out of the post so that guys like James Harden can drive the ball to the basket.
Yeah.
And there was ways to get the ball to the basket if you wanted to with a post player, but now they just spread the whole floor.
Yeah, I was lucky. I think I would have fit right in because I could handle the ball and I could shoot it. So I wouldn't have felt too bad about it. But then again, it's just not the same game. Excuse me. It's not the inside game that you're used to. They come in, kick it back out, kick it back in. You don't see that anymore. Everything is around the perimeter. The ball goes to the perimeter. Maybe somebody might drive to the basket, but that's not very rare. That's very rare. Everything is from 18 and out. And now, if you're not shooting 23 feet and out, it's a bad shot. I think analytics ruined the game. That's my personal opinion. I mean,
I agree. I mean, their studies say the 3-point shot is, unless you're getting a layup, a guaranteed 2, then you're better off shooting a 3. So
I take my chances shooting a 2 all the time.
Yeah,
I keep going to the basket because my chances are better when I'm at 2 feet than they are at 23 feet.
Yeah, and your chances are better probably getting to the free throw line too. So
yes.
And so Derek, Jesus, you're about 6'5", 6'6", right?
About 6'5", yeah, right around 6'5".
Yeah. So it was funny. So when I saw you at the Bodacious Bears weekend, and the same thing, Derek, same thing. My memory was when you guys were playing at Potsdam. I hadn't seen you since then, but my memory was that both of you guys were a lot taller. And so I'm about 6'5". So when I saw you guys that weekend, I'm like, man, these guys are like the same height as me, but both of you guys could, I mean, jump way more, way higher than I could. So maybe that's why you just seem taller then,
6'5", that's it.
Yeah. So for the big man, inside, at 6'5" really isn't that big.
No.
I played some community college basketball, and I had to move outside because I wasn't big enough to be inside.
Yeah.
But both you guys were, you held your own really well and down in the post.
We didn't have anybody over 6'5" the year we won the national championship.
Right.
Barry was 6'5", I was 6'5". Even a year before that, Eli was there. Eli was 6'6" at the tallest. And then we had the one kid that played, John Claude from France. But John Claude was 6'8", but John Claude, he didn't play that much.
Right.
So the bigger guys then come in to Potsdam. They started getting some 6'8" and 6'9", but that was like my last year. I think we played Scott Burgess came in. I think it was my last year. But other than that, everybody, we were all between 6'3" and 6'5". So.
Yeah. Well, I still take you in the post as a post player anytime.
Thank you.
Brendan, what was North Carolina A&T when was that D1?
That's a D1 school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about that year that you were there?
Didn't like it very much. They had a rubberized floor, the same kind of floor they had down in Union College. first 2 weeks of practice, my knees were killing me because of the floor and had tendonitis in the knees for the whole year there. So actually spent more time in the training room than I did on the court at North Carolina A&T. So the next year, didn't go back, went in the service, spent 2 years in the service, got a little stronger, got a little smarter, kept playing, and probably would have stayed in the service if they would have allowed me to go try out for the All-Army team. But when it came time to try out, they didn't let me go. So I just lucked out that it happened to be one of the lawyers that I went to see over in the building was from Schenectady. And he gave me an option. He said, you can re-enlist and get 2 more years, or I can get you out of here in 72 hours. I took the 72 hours. Yeah. I was ready at that time to get back somewhere and play basketball. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I just knew I wanted to get back to school and play basketball. And plus, I didn't like Fort Knox too much. I didn't like Fort Knox that well.
Yeah, that was my last duty station, was Fort Knox.
Did not like Fort Knox that well.
So now you come back. Now you're at Potsdam State. All of a sudden, playing for Jerry Welch. You're back in New York State. I mean, you were from Schenectady area, but what about just the 3 hours north, coming to the North Country? Was that a change for you being up in the Potsdam area?
It was a real change, because actually, the day I left Schenectady, it was like 76 degrees when we left. And when we got to Potsdam that night, it came down to like 50, 55. And I was like, no, this isn't going to work for me already. This is the beginning of August. Yeah, beginning of August, and it was starting to get cold already. I was like, oh, I don't know.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my second year there, we moved off campus. So we were living over off of Main Street. And first big snowstorm, you could no longer see the fence around the soccer field, and everybody told me, "No, we just walk over top of the snow." I was like, I don't really feel comfortable walking over top of that much snow, because what happens if I fall in the snow? I was like, yeah, so. And like, no, it's really packed down. So I waited for like 2 months for when it was really hard. Then I would walk over top of the field that way. But other than that, they look at me, I take the long way around the maxi, long way around the class. Yeah. That was great. The snow wasn't a problem, because I'm from Schenectady. We got a lot of snow in Schenectady. It was cold. It just didn't get cold that soon in Schenectady.
Right.
Well, talk a little bit, Brendan, talk about a little bit specifically about the 86 year, the things you remember, obviously winning the national championship, going undefeated, but some other things that you can remember from that magical season, the run of going undefeated and winning the national championship.
It just just being with the guys all the time was just special. I mean, I think we knew we were going to win the national championship the year before that when we lost. When we lost by 1 point in the national championship game, I think we had more fun after we lost than the team that won. We were looking at our team and we were like, everybody's going to be back next year. I think we lost Eddie O and Tommy DeRoche. I think we may have. But I think we only lost 2 players that year, because we had lost Eli that year during at halfway point of the season. I think we'd have won back-to-back national championships if Eli would have been healthy. I don't think anybody could have beat us that year. 84, 85. I think we'd have won 84, 85, 85, 86. But then again, it could have been a little crazy, because we may not have been as hungry as we were at 85, 86. I think we were just real hungry, and I don't think they could have put any team in front of us that year that would have beat us.
Yeah, because to come that close the year before,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody
you guys were
talked about it. I talk about a free throw I missed. I talk about a layup I missed. So everybody, listen, with one play that we missed that cost us the national championship that year. And I said, we all had a feeling that we were going to be back. I think we even told some of the people at the hotel see them next year around this time when we were leaving. Because we had that feeling that we were going to go back to the national championship game.
Yeah, you were definitely on a mission right from the start the next year.
Oh, yeah. Practice was harder than most games. I can honestly say that practice was harder than most of the games that we played in. I can honestly say that for the majority of the games that I played at Potsdam, that our practices probably were harder than the games that we played in most of the time.
I can believe that.
And I'll assume that's a combination of Coach Welch keeping the level high, but the depth of your team. I mean, your 7, 8, 9, 10 guys would have started for most other teams you were playing against, is probably what you're saying.
Oh yeah. So competition was crazy. Steve always tells a story about he went home and called his mother his first day at Potsdam. When he walked into the gym, he just looked and seen what we had up there, and he was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be able to play with them guys." I mean, we were just when he came in. That was right after we lost the national championship, so everybody was ready. Everybody was up prepped, and even in pickup games, it was just like it was organized because we were running our system that we were going to run all year long. So it didn't matter who came in the gym. Pickup games, if we split each other up, it was crazy. I think it was some of the best basketball I was able to play and play with these guys in the practice in the gym. Playing in Potsdam gym was amazing. Whether it was pickup games or during the season. Just
we all went to Coach Welch's summer camp. I went from, I think the time I was in junior high all the way through high school. I went every summer, and then of course our Section 10 conference that we played in high school, our championship games were played at Maxey Hall.
Yep.
And that was, we've said it 1,000 times, that's the Mecca, for us. Maxey Hall is the Mecca of basketball for us.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you still get I still get a different feeling when I always walk up the ramp when I go in.
Yeah.
It's just something I do when I go there. I walk up the ramp to go inside, and it's just, as you're walking up, you just get a different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great.
You could literally hear them out there. You could hear the fans. If you came late to the game, you could hear the fans from the ramp as you're coming up.
Oh yeah.
And we came up the back stairwell, the front stairwell, when we first came into for warm-ups, and it was crazy coming up that hallway. You could just hear them because our locker room was all the way on the back hallway and it come in the front. But the lights in the locker room used to be shaking.
Yeah. That's awesome. That had to be just an awesome feeling every night.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, I want to give thanks to Coach Welsh, Coach Cohen, Coach Mitchell, all the other coaching staff that was there. Special thanks to all my teammates. All the awards I received, it was because of them. They allowed me to do the things I was able to do. Especially thank Coach Welsh for not trying to change my game when I came there. We did have a little spat at first about it. He didn't want me to handle the ball as much, but once he realized that I could handle the ball as well as the guards could handle the ball, he was pretty much okay with it. So I thank him for that. Thank Pony for letting me handle the ball a little bit, because we got into it my first week there at Potsdam. So give me the ball, run the wing. That's what we going back and forth. So. But I thank them for that, for not changing my game and allowing me to stay the same and just let me to make little adjustments to fit in with everybody else.
Well, Brendan is somebody that coaches, obviously not at the level that Coach Welsh does, but I've always been a firm believer that I'm not going to try to change a player. I'm going to take what he can do and try to work with that. And if we can make him better at other things, great. But I'm going to work with what you're going to be able to offer me. So, and I know that probably wasn't the way all the times way back in the 80s. Those coaches back in those days, they were steadfast in their way. You're going to do this. We've changed as we gotten older. So for Coach Welch to be progressive like that long ago, that just tells you how good of a coach he was.
Oh yeah. He never stopped me. Every now, I think the first couple weeks in practice, he would say something about it. But then, I wasn't throwing the ball away, so he couldn't say too much about it. I mean, I understand if I'm turning it over, then you tell me stop handling it, I'll stop handling it. But I wasn't turning it over. So, and that's one thing I give that to my brother, because my brother made me dribble basketball every day from the time I started playing basketball. He told me, you're going to be able to handle the ball. You won't be able to. They're going to not be able to stick you in the post. And I appreciate that because I was able to adapt my game to whatever the other teams were doing. So if they put a small guy on me, I'd go in the post. But if they put a big guy on me, I'd bring him out to deep water and drain, just sink him.
There you go.
Water. So, and I enjoyed doing that. So that was all through junior high, high school, and college. So it was a good run.
Well, Brendan, I know we got on a little bit late and just a little frazzled here trying to get you on for these last couple of months, but we'll before we sign off, anything else? Anything else? Anybody else you can think of? You want to say thanks to, hello to, whatever it is?
Just want to thank all the fans, all the faculty at Potsdam while I was there, and like I said before, especially all my teammates, coaches, and friends that I met up at Potsdam. It's been it was a great experience. Special time. Those 3 years playing up there were very special. Memories are going to always be there. Like I said, anytime any of them have something that's going on, and if I can make it, I'll be there without a doubt. So just thank you to Potsdam in general, the whole city of Potsdam, whole town, everyone up there in the North Country that came out and supported us while I was up there and continued to support the Bears.
Well, Brandon, these three guys that you're looking at, we thank you because you supplied us with a lot of memories in the 80s. We've done 130 of these shows in the last 3 years, and the Potsdam Bears are probably that Potsdam Bear group is probably in the top 3 of our shows of the things that we talk about. So it was very important to us. It was important to the North Country. You guys are just legends, and here we are pushing 40 years later, and we still haven't forgotten those days.
Yeah, those were awesome times, and like I said, I appreciate it. And thank you guys for coming out and supporting us, and thank you for having me on your show and the rest of my teammates as well.
Well, we thank you for coming on. Like Joey said, scheduling conflicts have really plagued us, but I'm so glad we finally got this in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad I was able to get on and spend some time with you guys.
Brendan, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and thanks for the memories. That's all I got to say. I still think of all those days. It was a happy time in life. So your team and you brought a lot of that happiness to the North Country. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I never saw the North Country so fired up as it was back then. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Thank you guys.
Right. That's going to be it here tonight on ESS Empire State Sports and the Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. For Joey, Dave, myself, Pete Goselaw, and a very special guest, Brendan Mitchell. Good night, everybody, and stay safe.
Good night. All right. Thank you. Having a good day.